I'm going to try to put my money where my mouth is. If I were to draw a cat myself without any reference, there are cats sitting here on the, but I'm not going to look at them. So I'm going to do, let's see, draw a circle. Then you think about where the position of their nose is, right? That's usually what I start with, is I'll generically give them a little underwear nose, you know? And it's going to end up looking more cartoony this way for me, because I'm not going to go through so much trouble of I'm going to detail everything. But so you kind of do that little W, if you will, do it with some underwear, do a little, almost like a W here, right? That's where their little snout comes around. And once you have that, you can pretty much line up. Their nose kind of comes down right here, little almond shape. And then I say there, I'm talking cats in general. And you kind of do this, right? Little almond. It's okay if it's not perfect. More or less, you know, if the eyes feel a little too close, they might be a little close here. I can do one of two things. I can either readjust the size of his snout, or I can pull the eyes out a little further. But I think for what I'm doing, it's fine. So they usually have a little chin, right? And then their ears, I always try to remember that their ears are something like more or less here in the middle of the eye. So when you have their little the pupil, I can't think, I kind of do like a triangle right here, depending on how the ear looks. But let's say if you want to do it this way, a little almost rounded off triangle. And then finish this side. Do the same thing over here, you know, more or less. Their ear might be different directions, but the base of their ears are pretty much going to look the same. So I'm not going for absolute symmetry or anything. Like his ear could be turned, but the base is more or less going to look the same. So yeah, like that. This looks a lot like Ginger, funny enough. And then, of course, you know, they've got their head itself comes down, sort of meets down. In that area. And then it just, you know, adds some details. And I'm being lazy about that, but you get what I'm saying. You do that. I mean, when you refine the cats, depending on how they're looking at you, if it's looking straight on, like I had said before, they have sort of like this darkness, and then they have this, the lacrimal comes down kind of into their nose, like that. They almost look like they have permanent mascara, like I said before. And then if they're looking straight on, they usually don't have their sclera showing at you. And of course, you can add some lighting so it looks like they're looking at you or something. They can have lights from different directions if you want. Those are just circles, by the way. Circles and rectangles for the lighting. Doesn't have to be that detailed or that crazy, you know what I'm saying? And then I usually just take the structure of that, leave that there, and then I add on a little bit to the back because there's meat to their ear, so to speak, right? So that the back of their ear is like this. And then that cartilage, like I had mentioned, is kind of on the lower side of the ear. It's sort of in here. It almost looks like they have a cut in their ear, and that should more or less be... I kind of screwed this up last time. Should more or less be even across the way like that. And the ears can be bigger or whatever. Depends on the cat. And right now, I mean, this could be a lion. It could be a panther. It could be, I say lion, like a lioness. But their noses are much bigger. You know, you could if you do a lion or something like that, their noses are much larger. But they do have a similar facial structure. That's why we think they look like cats. And then you can add more stuff. You can add body and stuff like that too. But, you know, like I said, do that prominent M thing if you want. Kind of like this. It usually splits right down the center and kind of comes like that. And then that little spot that comes off the back where it works its way back into their fur. Looks like they're wearing like a little pair of glasses or something. I don't know. And then you can just give them like, it's your cat. If you're doing it from your own imagination, then make them how you want to make them. Maybe a couple of them. What's really crazy, and if I have the picture of it, I'm gonna have to see if I can find it. I drew a picture of a cat from memory one day, and looked at it years later. It looks just like her cat Lily. It tripped me out. I was like, wait a minute, I think I drew her before she ever existed. So their neck kind of comes down, like just say he's sitting down. Their neck kind of comes down here, and then they'll have sort of their, again, depending on how they're sitting, they'll have their body maybe will fold over a little bit. Kind of like that. And a cat staring you down like, what do you want? His chest kind of comes out this way. And then their arms, their arms kind of come off of that. I want to say that it's kind of like the arm isn't that much different than ours in that sense. It's sort of like blends into their chest. So you can, just assume that that's his arm. And just give him a little pop. And he'll look like he's standing there looking at you. And his arm this way. It gets wider as it goes up and smaller as it comes down. And then depending on your cat, he might have the apron thing or the tuxedo or whatever. And then just give him some stripy stripes. Keep that prominent. And if you want to give him a tail, it just depends on how he's sitting. If he's sitting like this, likely he's not going to have his tail like whooshing up in the air, but you could. Let's just say his tail's off on the bottom part of his butt, right? So if he were sitting here, his tail would have to be coming off somehow. At least this is how I think of it. Somewhere in the back side of that. And then work your way back up. If he's sitting here, let's just pretend you could draw through and say he's sitting on his tail, so his tail will be coming up. It could curl up, like that. Say it's underneath his body, right? And he's just got it curled up. That's really just rounding out linear shapes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could break this down into cylinders and then circles, half circles. I mean, you can see there's a circle here. There's a cylinder here. You can break it down like that if you'd like. And then you can just get clever with do the Garfield thing, give him the little stripes on his tail. He's your kitten. You do what you want. And then for his ears, just kind of pull the fur in alternating directions, sort of triangular, because it kind of pushes out away from their head. That makes sense. And then there's usually some darkness here because their ear, the inner part of their ear gets dark from the way the light's hitting it. And yeah, they tend to have this kind of more of an effect than the way that I drew it the first part. The M sort of comes, down here. Top of the M is here. There was a story of that apparently. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but the story I heard was something like Mother Mary or something had something to do with. I don't remember the story now, but apparently they're like, oh, that's why it looks like an M. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cute. What am I doing? What's I gonna do? Well, anyway, he should have an M. I don't know what I just did. Let's see. Is it M? Yeah, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like he can have whatever he wants. That's your cat. He looks all serious. Just shade him up a little bit. And, you know, his can stop here, and then he has the M that connects there. So they usually have that M shape if you ever look at your cat closely. I assume you're drawing a cat because you like him. Anyway, if you want to add the fur texture and all that stuff, that's from memory. I mean, I know it's not perfect, but that's the point. It doesn't have to be. It just gets the point across, right? So you just kind of stay here and shade it. The more you shade, the more realistic it's going to look. But I just wanted this to be a quick little demonstration. This reminds me of Ginger a lot, and I've only ever really drawn him a couple times. So, you know, they have their stripes on their arms too. There you have it. That is drawing a kid from memory. I've done that in a while. Yeah. Let me see. Let me go ahead and just try to ink this quickly. I guess I should use the brush pen. You know, I'm going to try to use the brush pen. It's not like this is a drawing I'm going to sell or anything. It's just a silly thing. So, yeah, baby. Yeah, see, it pops with that brush pen, boy. Cool thing about it, you don't have to be like, you don't have to fill everything in. You could just go like just go for it, man. Again, it's your kitty. It's sort of like Bob Ross used to say, it's your world. It's a similar thing. Don't get too caught up in the details, man. Just have fun. Their fur, I forgot to mention this, they tend to have fur like a little soft, almost like a bald spot right where their ears are at. And let's give him his little personality. Like I said, I like that texture this gives. It gives you like where some of the fibers on the pen don't exactly. My wife makes fun of the way I say pen. Can't help him from the south. So the way you get that dry brush effect, especially as this pen starts to die out, it's gonna have more of that. But I think it's cool. I like that. So here's his little underwear nose. Talking tidy whities here, man. That's what they look like to me. All right. Yeah. My wife's laughing at me. So like that. He looks like he's seen things, don't he? Going for that creepy manga horror, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing there, but whatever. Yeah, he looks pretty terrifying. I need to fill him in with some color because that is really creepy looking. I didn't mean for him to look that creepy, boy. That is terrifying. The light points that I made. Do not cry. I surprised myself. I'm not gonna lie. I too think, most of the time I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. I really don't. I just draw. I mean, I've been drawing since I was a kid. I took a long break, but I did actually take art class in high school, digital and traditional drawing, a couple times actually. But they pretty much do the same thing I was saying. You learn all your basic stuff, man. Just, figure drawing and all that stuff is fine. But make sure you also, when you're doing those, make sure you learn your basic stuff. Keep practicing it, because the basics will save you most of the time. If you don't know what you're going to draw, just use really basic shapes and you can get pretty much everything done. So I like that variation there. It's cool. I don't know. That's just me, I guess. I actually steer away from perfection. I used to have really bad OCD about stuff, like try to get stuff done and be exactly the way that I imagined it. And I just started stop focusing so hard on stuff like that, because I wasn't getting anything done. I was just spending too much time stressing over details nobody cares about. I mean, you're creating problems for yourself. Like, nobody else cares that you didn't put that line in the right spot, except for you. Unless you're drawing something that's supposed to look exactly like somebody, chances are that one little tiny line you did is not going to affect the rest of the drawing. Not to the point where no one's going to know what it is you drew. He's gonna come for you, boy. He needs something. You owe him something, I guess. His little butt. Yeah. Anyway, that's more or less him. See how fast I'm doing that? I'm not really thinking much of it, because it's okay if it's not perfect. Like I said, just go for it, man. Just go. Just get it done. Do it. Just waste your time away not doing things. Just do it. It don't have to be perfect. Just have to get it done. That works. Anyway, it kind of looks like a cat, right? The little highlights of the eyes are a little crazy looking with the brush pen, but that's okay. I don't mind. If you wanted to, you could clean it up, throw some color on him. And I don't never do that, so maybe I will. Why not? Last thing. Alright, I'm going to try to color this in real quick because he looks terrifying. So these are just really cheap. These are Crayola color pencils. That's what I'm trying to say. There's words in there, I swear. So cat's eyes can be green and yellow and brown and all kinds of stuff. So, but I'm just gonna go with a generic greenish yellow hue and make them look less crazy. I could have done this with just the either hatching or using a fine liner, but I decided no, I'm going to do this. Yellow green them up a little bit. Haven't used Crayola color pencils since I was a kid. This is crazy. I used to use them to do all my comic stuff when I was a kid. It's pretty wild. I guess they blend okay. I don't know. So it's kind of like circularly blending them out because I'm hoping it'll pick up the pigment and kind of smudge it around. Do as I say, not as I do. And of course, if your cat is orange, if he's a ginger like ours is, they are actually multiple colors of different shades. Obviously, like browns and oranges and all kinds of stuff, depending on the light. So you don't have to go with a pure orange, but I'm going to use this as a base. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pretend that the light source is coming from in front of him, since he has those lights coming on his face there. He's going to be yellow and orange. So I'm just going to lay down some of this orange. I don't have any colorless blenders. I used to have a bunch of them, but I never went through them all. Ended up giving them away. Just going to lay down the little bit of light color here. This bonus feature stuff here. I'm just coloring like I'm a kid. I mean, color pencils are just crayons on wood, aren't they? Don't lie to me. That's all they are. They're just... You heard what I said. They're... It's alright. It's fine if you talk, honey bear. I'm not burnishing. I'm going actually really pretty light. I'm not like digging into the paper. I'm letting the texture of the paper kind of pick up the color, because I don't want to get too much, like I don't want to dig in too much because then I can't add anything else to it. Another trick, if you don't have colorless blender, but if you have baby oil, you can use that. Usually, I've done it with wax-based color pencils and oil-based color pencils, and it works. It works wondrously. Is that a word? Wondrously? I don't know. So I'm going to come in here like this, and then I'm going to put pink in his ears. And by pink I mean red, because we don't have pink. So red is just going to blend out to pink, because, you know, it's not saturated, therefore pink. Most cats' inner ears are pink, you know, inner part of their ear looks pink. But Ginger, because he's so orange, his are super pink. I forgot to put this on his face. So I'm going to leave him with this little white spot. This is red, so what is this? I grabbed the red orange for that. Red orange looks, look at this. Look at the difference in these colors. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm going to do some, what they're saying is red orange. On his little nose. I'm going to throw in some yellow hue and try to get it to blend out a little bit and make him look a little bit more fiery orange. Color blending, optical blending is really cool. Like when you step back far enough away from a picture, like have you ever seen a Monet painting? I'm saying Monet. Club Monet, right? I'll have to fact check myself on that. I don't remember getting them mixed up. Monet, was it Edward Monet? Man, I'm terrible. I don't remember. Well, anyway, I believe it was Monet. They have like little, almost like pixels of color on canvas long before the color printer was a thing. And if you step back and look, you see a fuzzy image. I believe he said something like, "Oh, it's not art, it's science." If I remember correctly. basically he's saying it's a scientific concept as to why he was able to do that. But it's really cool to look at. Kind of breaks your brain. So I realize, the color blending, it's really perspective. The further out you are, the more it's going to look blended together or fuzzy almost. I don't know. I just feel like coloring this guy in, coloring him on in here. Just chilling with you, man. Just relaxing. Coloring can be, drawing for me is really relaxing, but then like coloring can be really, really chill. I find myself wanting to hurry up and get my pieces done when I color digitally, but I always end up taking way longer than I meant to. I think that's probably why I try to hurry up, because I know I'm going to take forever. Again, I'm not pushing very hard. I'm just holding the pencil on the side and trying to stack colors so that it gives that blending effect. Now I can come back in with the oranges. Just trying to get the paper to grab whatever it hasn't already. And if I want to desaturate, you can use an opposing color to give you more of a brown tone. Just trying to saturate this color a little bit more than it already is. I really love about that ink too is that it really gets down into that fiber, so like it's not really taking the color very well. Like you can color over it, but you'd really have to dig in to get the color to stay. So these I don't know what their formula is, man, for microns, but I see why everybody loves them so much. Going a little heavier now. I guess I was trying to build up color, get that base yellow in there with it. That way when I come back in here with the orange, it'll kind of blend out and kind of lighten it to more of a yellow orange. It wasn't meant to be anything about color theory. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I don't know a whole lot about color theory, to be honest with you. I know a lot about music theory. Boy, howdy. Do I know some stuff about some music theory? Color theory, not so much. I guess I just kind of do it. I mean, I know print theory because I'm a software engineer, but like the color print, the true colors are printable through the true primes are cyan, yellow, and magenta. And we were told in school that it's red, yellow, and blue. That's just because of the old masters. That's what they had. But you can't create yellow. I'm sorry, you can't create like magenta or cyan, the vibrant colors like that with red, yellow, and blue. However, with yellow, magenta, cyan, you can create all the rest of the colors. So technically, those are the print primes. Not to be confused with, there's additive and like the difference between light itself as the color source versus how, so like if you have a red light versus something on the paper, like this is orange, right? So this is what's being reflected. With light, if the source is orange, then that's what's being emitted. So then it's pretty obvious that emitted, not omitted. It's pretty obvious when you have a red light in a room, pretty much everything looks red, right? If you have a white light in the room, pretty much everything looks the color you'd expect it to be. And whatever, that's pretty obvious. But it's the stuff we don't think about, I think. He's pretty orange there, ain't he? I'm talking to y'all like I do my wife, and I'm hoping that it gives her ears a break. She can just pretend like I'm not talking. She can work on her stuff and act like I'm not here. This poor woman has to listen to me ramble about stuff all the time. I know. I get it, man. I get it. I'm a pain. I know. Anyway, there's Mr. See, he looks better with the color there because the color, of course, creates a level of some kind of saturation. A value. There's a value there, right? There's a hue. The value being like how much opacity, so to speak, is there versus like the white here. If you start coloring down, you're not going to see the white anymore, right? But it could be blue or orange or yellow, depending on the shade. That can actually affect the gray value. Like if you grayscale this picture, they all might have, the orange might be lighter than the green, for instance, in terms of grayscaling. So from like, let's say you did it digitally, it'd be between 0 and 255, and that might be one. This might actually be closer to 255, and this might be closer to 127. And so the color itself matters too, which is something I learned recently in color theory. So that was kind of cool. But I'm not doing a color theory thing here. I am no aficionado. Now we must add some depth. Now I could be... Actually, I really like doing this. This is cool. If you want to add shading and you're using opposing color, of course it'll blend out. If you know anything about mixing the old school colors of red, yellow, and blue, if you mix secondary colors together or opposing colors, you'll get a brownish hue. So the trick here is this is blue, it says. There we go. There's violet. I mean, boy, they're really trying. Look at. I don't think you can see that, but that is. I don't know. That's pretty close. Those are really hard to tell the difference between. Yeah. Thankfully they have names on them. So I'm going to try to give him a little bit of shading perspective. So if the light's hitting him directly, his fur is basically kind of diffuse. So I'm going to try to give him just a little bit of shading, like very, very subtle around his fur. I mean, around the edge of his fur. Something like that. It gives it a little bit something else to look at. So we just pull it around the edge. See, it kind of creates that soft shadow effect. It's pretty cool. Some of the most realistic lighting that I've seen in any painting has actually been using opposing colors like this. And actually had a friend that told me that. She was like, you should try it. She was right. It works really, really well. So anywhere you want like dark shading, you can throw the blues in. But this is blending with the color that's already there. So it might give you some purples. It might give you some browns. So it gives you really cool variations, I think. And it, like I said, it doesn't do exactly what you might think it does. Like, you're like, well, shouldn't it be green? Yeah, ish. Depends how much is there. And your stacking color too here, like I'm not specifically burnishing this in, it's kind of like layering a little bit at a time. Burnishing, by the way, if you don't know what that is just really digging into the paper. You see, it starts to make him look like, for lack of better words, it starts to make him look more 3D, more like he's more in depth. I don't know, I think it's cool. Just fun to experiment too. Just try stuff. See, like, you know, if you're, let's say, you know, you really are like, I really love this drawing and I don't want to sort of waste it on an experiment. Don't do it then. Do it on something else, something you don't care about. Just sketch something really quickly. And if you're attached to everything that you draw, I was when I was a kid, I understand. That's fine. Then just draw something you aren't, like a cube or something, and then try some of this stuff and see if it works. See, that hue is also darker in terms of saturation. And it's going to give you a more realistic shading that way. Wow. You do you, boo-boo. Yeah, if you go pretty heavy with it, you'll get some cool effects. Once that leg is sort of behind this one, behind his body, you can get that effect that it's shaded out a little bit more. And his little snout. It's cool because it gives you color variation. You can also use it to darken his eyes up a bit. On the outer side, they tend to have darker hue. And if he looks crazed, it's because that's what our cat actually looks like. He actually looks nuts most of the time. I love him to death, but man, he just, like, he loves to go outside and he doesn't want to be in the house. Like, it don't matter if it's raining or whatever, he doesn't care. He just wants to be outside. I understand, he's a cat, he wants to go do things. But yeah, he's kind of nuts. A crazed look in his eye. I mean, that's more or less it. You just kind of play with it till you're happy. That's what I do. Till I'm content with the way that it looks. And yeah, I'm not really sure if I can add anything else to this now. I don't know how many of y'all are even gonna see this, but you know, man, I just wanna share it, talk to somebody, just chill. I'm just chilling. I'm just having fun. Gotta do that now and again, you know what I mean? Gotta have you some fun. And then, like, the blues in here. If you're not a big fan, the wrong color. If you're not a big fan of the way that looks, you can just grab the orange and kind of highlight it up a little bit more. Anyway, hopefully this was useful for somebody, or you just had fun chilling. Draw along, Draw with me? Hang out? I don't know. Just thought it'd be cool to do this. I used to draw a lot, and I don't so much anymore. I mean, I do draw, but I don't do this kind of thing anymore. Just figured I'd share it if anybody was interested. Little impromptu drawing session. Anyway, like I said, you can get crazy with it if you want to. You can get really heavy with the shading. Color pencil is a little bit harder to, it's not very forgiving in terms of erasing and stuff, so you've got to be pretty happy with what you're doing. So I just take my time. I'm saying, it's not a big deal if you get it in places you don't want it, but erasing it's difficult. Blending it out's a little bit easier, but not by much. But happy accidents, as Bob Ross said, right? There you go. And then you can just add hints of this in here if you want. What do you think? Well, wife approves. Good enough for me. I'm gonna go ahead and sign Mr. Cat here. He's a ginger. You never know. I did a study once. That I say study, I mean drawing from life, and I sold it. So, you never know. So I just go ahead and sign him. Why not? Oh, I did forget his nose. His nose could do with some blue, There it goes. That's good enough. Hopefully somebody, like I said, finds this useful. Or fun. Or something. And I'll see y'all in the next one.